DJ Shadow is Joshua Paul Davis, an American hip-hop producer and DJ. Appearing on the scene in 1996, DJ Shadow debuted an influential instrumental hip-hop album titled Introducing. With his collection of over 60,000 vinyl records, Shadow continues to probe novel musical enclaves. You're tuned in to Roots to Grooves.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Presenting to you the Bay Area's very own, the dynamic, the soulful DJ Shadow
and the Groove Rock.
Are you ready for the...
Rap music. Threats of assassination, guns, drugs, violence, sex. Is that all rap is about?
The moon rises on Funky City. Wait a minute, out of the darkness, a tall figure appears. Who is he? Tell him who the fuck I am. The one, the only DJ Shadow. Tell him who the fuck I am.
I want you to meet the baddest motherfucker in town.
Tell him who the fuck I am. The producing genius of DJ Shadow. Tell him who the fuck. Tell him.
They've made such insignificant changes to the sound recording that it is still infringement as far as we're concerned, and they have violated our exclusive rights in sound recording.
They did what the kids call sampling.
Seriously is now a power to be reckoned with.
Well, I don't even consider this art. I mean, he's rapping, not singing, number one.
But that's your opinion.
Yeah, well, it's rap. Isn't it called rap?
Rap is definitely large, though. Rap is definitely the biggest form of music right now, because if it wasn't, though, everybody won't be using it. R&B, rock, whatever, is a rap and something. There's always a rapper, cartoons, commercials. It doesn't matter. They got Fred Flintstone and Barney with fat chains on, you know, with the commercials, you know, with the turntables. So everybody wants to rap now, you know what I'm saying? First it was like, okay, it wasn't gonna last back in 1979, it wasn't gonna last. Now it's 92 and we still kicking it.
Well, hello. Hello.
What's up, Jay? How are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm well. Roots to Grooves.
Roots to Grooves.
Episode numero dos.
Dos. I was going to try and do that in my head. I was thinking I would get it synchronized this time so we could...
Next time. Third time's a charm.
But once it gets to a certain number, my Spanish numbers run out. I don't know.
Could you turn me down a little bit? I'm a little hot in my ears.
You can turn your headphone down. I think.
Check. Sounds good.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was a little bit hot.
Okay, cool. All right.
DJ Shadow.
DJ Shadow, here we are. I will turn it down, actually. It's loud for me as well.
Okay, we're technical difficulties. It's only our second show here. So.
Exactly. Manning all of the audio equipment ourselves. But DJ Shadow, here we are talking about him today. I admit I'm a little bit of a fanboy. It was my suggestion.
I think I've heard you talk about him before. And so he was in my psyche.
Right.
Kind of from your brain.
Yeah. So legendary, influential DJ, producer from California.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Davis, California.
Davis, California is where
Super
he grew
cool
up.
Guy.
Yeah. And he's that's where he started out in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I first heard about him, it was early 2000s. Okay. So he'd been around for like maybe 10 years or so.
Been on the scene for like, a decade or so.
Yeah, I sort of knew about him when his first album, Introducing, came out.
Great album. So I got turned on to that. We can talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah.
But
so
super great album.
Yeah, so he's, like I say, from California, started out, I guess, how he got into music was listening to a lot of hip hop. And then playing around with a 4-track tape recorder and some turntables.
Yeah, when he was still in high school?
When he was still in high school in Davis, California.
I don't know if I've ever seen one of these. I hear him in these cool stories, 4-track recording devices.
Yeah, I used to have an 8-track back in the late 90s. It was like a cassette tape. Mm-hmm. You had to buy a special cassette tape had like a thicker type of tape in it because you're trying to multi-track different things onto the same thing.
Gotcha. I don't know what you're talking about. It sounds cool though. I'm interested.
Yeah, it's basically like a mixing desk.
Yeah. Okay.
And then you can record. So he had a 4-track one, so you can only do 4 individual channels, and then you can record. Basically, that's it. Like
so very limited.
Extremely limited.
At this time, we didn't have Pro Tools with 500 tracks.
No, it's just imagine Pro Tools if you couldn't cut anything. It is what it is.
I can't imagine these people making this music cutting physical things.
Yeah, you can only well, so with that you didn't have to cut anything, so it's not like the reel-to-reel tape machines where they used to do
that's a little bit different.
So this one's literally just a cassette tape in the machine. You record like that. I think pretty much the only other thing you can do is what they call bouncing down.
Bounce it down.
Yeah, so if I was recording a drum kit with 4 channels, kick, snare, hat, I could bounce all those down onto one channel. Then I got 3 channels again to mess around with.
Ooh, so much fun.
But it was fun.
Room for activities.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of how his style and approach, DJ Shadow's style and approach to music came about, because out of those limitations, right? We actually talked about that in episode 1 about being in a box.
Yeah, it's kind of a theme. I like it.
Yeah. And and of course he's not an instrumentalist. He's not a musician. Mm-hmm. He's a DJ first, and so his approach to music comes from finding pre-existing records, sampling them, and then having samplers. I think that's the only other piece of the kit I don't know if he had it to start with, but he acquired at some point, was that ability to take all those samples, sequence them, create a beat, and then record that onto his tape track.
Even with the first album, Introducing, he was using a couple turntables, little processing unit, and then maybe one other, like the 4-track recording device. Yeah. Like super limited. And I think he was even going to his buddy's house who had Pro Tools at the very early on Pro Tools.
Yeah, really early version. Yeah.
So he was just doing it DIY. How can I do this?
Yeah.
And I was reading interviews and stuff, and he didn't know what he was doing. He was fully admitting, I don't know what I'm doing. I know panning, and I know some EQ, and that's about it. And otherwise, it's incredible that he made such a hot album that resonated with people.
Totally, yeah. So Introducing was his first. He'd done some stuff before then, but Introducing was the thing that really made him big.
Right. Before that, we could start, and he was doing some singles. He was on Mo Wax record label.
So that came later. Yeah. Well, so he
was working with some people on that label, I believe.
Yes.
I mean, you know better than I.
Well, yeah. So Mo Wax is out of the UK. James Lavelle is this guy that founded that label. And he was, in his 20s as well in London.
Yeah.
DJ himself, was tapped into a lot of stuff that was happening over here that wasn't getting released or put out in the UK at all. And so that's kind of how, so there's this earlier track before Introducing that DJ Shadow did called Influx, I think.
Yeah, Influx.
Yeah. And so he'd heard a few of these things, and I think he convinced Shadow, can we release this in the UK kind of thing? And that's how that relationship started. And then so when Shadow had the Introducing album together and ready, Mo Wax put that out in the UK and really kicked off both of their careers. Mo Wax is now a defunct label, but at the time it was that label to go to for underground hip hop and just that graffiti culture and all that kind of new stuff that was coming out.
Yeah, so some of his idols back in the day, DJ Premier. Yeah. I don't know if you're familiar with them. I didn't know any of the names, but
yeah, DJ Premier, classic.
Mantronics, familiar?
Yeah. I wasn't until I dived into some.
Yeah, until I started reading some of these names, and I was diving in, and it's a whole world for me to explore. I'm not coming from the hip hop or rap side of music.
Yeah.
Like I was saying in the other episode.
Yeah.
So it's a beautiful space to, enter and explore. Pete Rock.
Yeah.
Steinsky.
Oh, no, Steinsky.
I like these guys' names, by the way. Large Professor. Hip hops have to these are band names essentially, and they're kind of cool.
I know, yeah.
Ultramagnetic, Platoon, Prince Paul.
Yeah. Good names. Yeah.
So this is in Shadow's head. This is where he's coming from. This is what he's trying to recreate.
Yeah.
And everything that I saw, what he's talking about, which I think is really cool, is this guy's super humble. He's just trying to recreate these things in a new way and pay homage to them.
Yeah.
And not just copy them.
Yeah.
And he's given all the credit to all these other people whose influences his sound.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because he mentioned Curtis Mantronic as being because I never heard about his influence on his own sound actually, because the sample culture is about, I always thought about, grabbing breaks, beats, bass lines, just putting a solid foundation down for rappers to be over kind of thing.
Right.
But he actually, DJ Shadow, mentioned all of these groups and other people that were doing a similar thing that influenced him even more in the sample culture. So, Curtis Mantronic was apparently someone he really mentioned. He was doing that same sort of thing, grabbing all kinds of things. And I don't know if you've heard of the Amen break.
I think I have. It's kind of it's a prominent one that a lot of artists have used.
Yeah.
The same one used in different ways, and it most people wouldn't be able to tell, oh, that's that one. Maybe if you're in the industry or something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You'd be able to recognize it.
Yeah. And it's been heavily used in a lot of hip hop and drum and bass as well, because they sped up.
Oh,
that was the foundation of drum and bass. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the Amen break. Yeah.
Where did that come from? Where do you know that originally?
Yeah, I forgot the name of the band and the drummer, but it was this old record that was released in the 70s or something like that.
Cool.
And
people still use it today.
Yeah, and I think there's a whole documentary about the drummer that played it. He unfortunately passed away, not rich. Didn't, it was just it was literally 2 seconds of a beat.
And he had no idea this was going to turn into a...
Yeah, he didn't know.
A thing that hip-hop artists all around the world are going to use for years and years, decades.
Exactly, yeah. And when you're in those old funk bands in the 70s playing tracks like that, of course the industry's different as well, Labels are just paying you to come in and do your session, like a lot of those Motown artists, right? Musicians that played on Motown tracks. Just got paid for the day to come in, lay some bass down, and well, now they're on this classic.
Yeah. We're off.
No royalties, but yeah.
That's kind of the name of the game. You as an artist, I guess it's interesting. You don't know if you're going to get any anything back from all this time you're putting into this project, all this love.
Yeah.
And some of them get hit and they blow up and people like it. Some of them never know until years later.
Yeah. It's the struggle of being a musician, right?
The artist struggle.
What does success look like? What is success?
What do I want?
What do I want out of this?
Where am I going? What am I? Mm-hmm. I mean, these big philosophical questions, and I think these albums and this art, this music, gives people a way to contribute love in the rest of society, and a way to share the love that they're putting into the music. Yeah. So I think it's super cool, and I think DJ Shadow is a great example of an artist who really cares about his music and really cares about the history of it. Speaking of which, that's one of the main proponents of this guy. He's like a crate digger. He just loves going through many albums, going into the basement of the record shop, just looking around for days. I think he has a collection of over 60,000 records.
Yeah. I also heard that a record store he used to dig out all the time, unfortunately the owner passed away, and his wife was trying to sell all the records in the shop, and they went to Shadow and was like, "Do you want this stuff?"
And he bought them, right?
Yeah, he said him and a friend, they bought 500,000 records for 10 grand.
Yeah, $10,000. Yeah.
Didn't know what any of them were, just bought them.
Just stacks of records. Yeah, didn't know who the artists were.
Yeah. And so, and that's part of his whole digging thing is, he'll literally listen to everything.
I think he said he's also a collector. Like he wants to own all of the hip hop records from the 80s and the 90s.
Yeah,
and on up.
All the demo tapes that
right.
artists used to put out. He said he had an early Tribe Called Quest demo tape on cassette. With like Q-tip beats on it. I mean, this is amazing. Like no one can hear that stuff because it's just literally just out there.
I mean, it's ancient artifact.
It is.
Like dig that up, and archaeologists.
Yeah. But
100 years from now.
Yeah. But coming back to what you're saying as well, about like giving love to other artists, and that is kind of it's kind of an interesting thing about the sample culture in general, because I don't know if you knew about like all of the kind of conversation in media or around music about hip-hop and sampling, like whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, that you're stealing from other people to create your own. Some people were saying that sort of thing.
I don't know what people, I don't know, I think about that myself a lot. I don't know if I look it up and see what other people are saying, I guess. Maybe I should read about it a little bit more. But it's a conflict in my head because I think it's super cool, and there's music that I never would have thought to listen to, and it's super good. And like, how are they making these wacky sounds? Where are they coming from? Yeah. It's an art in itself to put these things together and make something new. Yeah. With using these actual tracks, but creating a brand new track. Yeah. Is the idea. And so it's a spectrum. Some artists like kind of use the same exact thing, and it sounds pretty close to what it was before. Otherwise, you can process it a little bit more, and it sounds like a completely new sound.
Yeah. And with like the world of music that's out there, I think it's, it'd be different if all Shadow did was sampling the Beatles or the Rolling Stones, like known.
Just everybody knows that part of that song.
But like he's just finding obscure records that only 70 of them were printed by some weird local band in Chicago or something. And
just random.
He's just taking that guitar riff or whatever, and then
I think it seems like he makes a point of looking for stuff that nobody else knows or probably hasn't heard, at least in the last few years or so.
Yeah, and not really. Like I feel like he's into all types of different genres as well. Like he listens to punk records and rock and funk. And
I heard one of his when I was listening through his music, and it's like a heavy rock song almost. Yeah, I can't remember what the track was called, but I was like this guy's dynamic. He doesn't care what he's using.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like,
he's colorful.
Yeah, like I'm not a hip hop head.
Same, but
but I like a lot of hip hop and that, and DJ Shadow is considered hip hop, but then within his body of work are these crazy instrumental like rock tunes almost kind of thing.
Yeah, so that's what he's kind of doing. He makes these super cool beats. It's mostly instrumental. He uses some audio, some vocal clips here and there, sparsely used, I think. Yeah. Most of his discography is instrumental, would you say?
Yeah, I think it's changed. We can talk about this later, how he's evolved as an artist, and like his later stuff, like his latest albums have a lot more lyrics and vocalists on them. But most of his stuff by himself in the early days was all instrumental. Apart from though there was this underground hip hop label out of the Bay Area called Soul Sides, and I think it was like a crew of like rappers and other producers. So he worked a lot with them, like just providing beats to those artists. Like Black Alicious is another artist that was out there around then.
Another great name.
Yeah, great name. Lyrics Born, who used to go by Asia Born, apparently.
And so this is kind of where he developed his style. He was just kind of mixing stuff, putting stuff together, working with other people. Yeah. And up until Introducing came out. Yeah. So that one has some sparse vocals on it. It's super good. It was in the Guinness World Record books. Yeah. For being the first completely sampled record. Yeah. That's awesome. Is that true? I haven't been keeping up on my Guinness World Records.
It must be. Yeah, if that's what they say. Because, I mean, before then, there's been a lot of sampling, right, in early hip-hop music, but they always came with vocals.
Right. So I guess that's the difference. And it's instrumental, so that's...
Yeah.
So super cool record.
Yeah. Yeah, and so it's interesting that if you do a little bit more digging, you can find like the original songs or records that he took parts from, kind of thing, which is really interesting to hear the original records, because you wouldn't even have thought, how did he make that out of that?
Yeah, and actually I took the time, I watched this, it was some seminar of a professional audio engineer or music engineer, and he was teaching a class basically showing an example of one of Shadow's tracks and kind of breaking it down piece by piece and actually showing the people how he broke it down, took the snapshot, edited it, processed it, and made it what it was into the finished track. Yeah. So super cool to see that. Yeah. I don't know, sampling's super cool, and I want to learn more about it.
Yeah. Have you ever done any of sampling yourself?
Well, I was thinking about it the other day. I kind of do, even though I'm using guitars and stuff, but I'll record essentially my own samples. Like, oh, maybe this is a good idea. Maybe that's a good idea. And so I'll have Pro Tools open and there'll be like 100 different ideas. Yeah. And I'll end up sampling myself kind of. Yeah. In a way. It's a little bit different, but I'll be like, oh, I'll take this chunk of that guitar, put it here, and begin writing it. Yeah. It's kind of the way Khruangbin was doing it, and chop it up, make it what I want, and then go back and learn it and play it and have it recorded the right way. Yeah.
I think that's an interesting way to work, especially I think they can like get you through writer's block and stuff like that. Yeah. If you're not worrying about writing or building a song, you're just like coming up with little parts all the time that you can go back to later.
Piece by piece.
Yeah.
So you don't need to write a whole masterpiece in one
exactly
session. It's super cool to see how this stuff is broken down into tiny spots, and these artists are literally taking a drum beat and then being able to replay it. I don't even know how to talk about it, the vernacular and the words, the vocabulary, because they have all these boxes with buttons on them, and they put a drum beat on one of them and then hit it and re-record it and process it, and sampling, guys. I don't know if you guys know what we're talking about, but I'm learning,
Well, let me show you, Jesse, this book. It's called Behind the Beat.
Behind the Beat. That looks great. When did you get that? Where'd you get that?
And I found out about it through the internet. Someone was talking about it, and
what's it got inside?
And it is a book that features a lot of photos of all kinds of hip hop producers in their home studio environment, so you can see what their place looks like. You got people like Chief XL in here, Dan the Automator, DJ Shadow, Cut Chemist, DJ Premier's in here, Newmark, Jay Dilla as well.
Jay Dilla.
There's right at the end on page 150 is Jay Dilla's studio. Okay.
I'm gonna have to give me a copy of that book.
Yeah, I'll show you. There's a couple of pages in here that you can peruse right now or something.
Check that out. Let's just hit all the cameras.
Hit all the cameras.
This is super cool.
But that's like another, and we'll put some of those photos up on the video for the viewers at home. But like, it's really interesting to see, the environments that people make music in as well, and especially this type of music. It's like yes, they are sampling, but look at the gear they have. They have got keyboards as well and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Samplers and
I mean, yeah, and it is cool because this stuff was originally recorded, even if it wasn't the same artist.
Yeah.
There was a guy on the drum set at some point in the past.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Creating these vibrations that come through speakers, I guess.
Yeah. So let's play a track.
You got a track ready off of Introducing?
Yeah, we could do that, or there's the track that got him signed to Mowax, but I think that's really long. So, but we could do either or.
Do that when you have loaded up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Influx. This
Sick.
is the track it's a track he did before Introducing, but it didn't actually get officially released until after Introducing came out.
Oh, okay, I see.
He put out an album called Preemptive Strike, which included all of his random tracks that he did from like 93 to 97 and
compilation.
Compilation. But it's really good listenable album, just to like, it's just crazy. It's just weird. It's like a different direction than Introducing. It seems more experimental in a way, less hip hoppy. You got like really long, like 6 minute, 7 minute tracks.
Mostly instrumental still?
All instrumental, apart from like his little weird vocal samples.
Right.
There's a bit like singing in there as well in some of these tracks, but yeah.
I don't know if I've heard that track. I'd love to hear it now.
I'll spin it. Yeah, Influx.
The song about life, death, love, hate, wealth, poverty, racism. Just a few things been running through my head.
Listen, we call on you. Listen, now we call on you. Stay strong. Hear us now.
When you speak of overthrowing those conditions, I think this is what frightens people from the people. The average American, when you simply say the word overthrow, he sees this as something very, very bad to him. I know you're not responsible for his feelings. But when you say these things, are you threatening someone? Right.
Detroit in 42. New York in 64. Lighting by 100 watts. The naked, black, white, true.
So yeah, super vibey track. That's
Yeah, it's
like
great.
10 minutes long though.
I was getting lost in it.
Yeah, you get.
I
Yeah.
sat here for an hour.
I don't know, man. I've spun that so many times and just got lost in it. And the whole album's like that. Just kind of.
No, I'm definitely going to be playing this guy for a while.
Yeah, so I got it here. Anyway, Preemptive Strike.
Sick.
With all this crazy artwork on here as well. I don't know who did it. Should have researched that. Always not good.
We'll put it in the comments
Put
somewhere.
it in the comments. Yeah. So.
Well, cool. So this guy comes out with Introducing, and it resonates with the hip hop world. people like it.
Yeah, and a lot of people outside the hip hop world as well. Like a lot of musicians that have come since, like especially out of the UK scene. There's a band called Cinematic Orchestra that are. There's a guy called Jason Swinscoe, and he's basically the guy behind that band.
Nice.
And he just cites DJ. He just wanted to make music like DJ Shadow.
Yeah, and so like crazy, it's kind of gets flipped on him. He's trying to make music that he's inspired by, and then the artists who have been in the industry for a while are like, I want to do something like that now.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's a conversation, which is super cool.
It is. It's the world of inspiration, right? It's just the more you put out into the world, the more you can inspire other people. And,
you put things in the world, and things come back at you one way or another. I think.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the really interesting thing about Shadow's music is that he's exploring all these weird worlds of old records.
Yeah.
There was one album he did, I think it was his first official album after introducing, called The Private Press.
Okay.
And on that album, there's like all these little segments of like people talking.
It was like 2002? Is that the second?
Yeah, 2002.
Okay.
Yeah. And the story, so yeah, on the record, there's like these little interludes between tracks, and it's like people giving personal messages to their family and stuff like that. And the thing he found out through his digging is back in the day, there was this whole thing in America where if people wanted to send a message to their family members, they'd go to the record store and then record an audio like message.
Really?
And then it would
never heard of that.
Yeah, and then it would get printed to vinyl and then sent
in the mail?
In the mail, and then sent to their family members.
Wow, that's amazingly old school.
I know, and so through the process of his digging, he found a bunch of these records that are randomly left in thrift shops and stuff like that. And so yeah, some of those things is like...
So
yeah.
Those are real people.
Those are real people
from
the history in the country telling someone, family member about their life kind of thing.
It's cool instilling these little habits of us people on Earth and putting it in something that's gonna, now it's digital and his album's gonna be there forever, and we can It's how do you say that? It's just right there. It's nice.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go be a bit esoteric now. Well, just thinking, if you think about that, like, you know how great the internet is, right? But
it's pretty good. It's pretty cool.
It's pretty good.
Got some good stuff in there.
Got a few good things on there.
It's all right.
Some bad things as well.
Yeah,
like Trump's Twitter account, for example.
Yeah.
Let's not go there.
Yeah.
But not everything is on the internet. So you've got this whole history of people pressing things to vinyl, like small bands, that were just putting out limited things. They didn't get signed. They didn't do very well. They just like pulled their money together and made a record.
Which is kind of sad. When I'm seeing these stacks of records down in the basement or something, and I think he made a point of saying like it's kind of, it's some sort of graveyard or something.
Yeah.
Like all these people were like, I'm trying to do this. I want to be in the industry. I want to be part of the conversation.
Yeah. Graveyard of dreams.
It is, and it's beautiful stuff. It's the same old. You got to have death to have life. So
yeah, exactly.
Things come and go.
Yeah. And so just to think there's that whole world of that stuff out there that still exists that we haven't heard. I don't really know of any other artists that are digging in that way.
Not that I've heard of.
Yeah,
not at the caliber of this guy.
Yeah, a lot of people are just trying to find good bass lines or parts of songs that just have beats on it that they can...
Yeah, it's a little bit more lazy approach, I would say. But I like that this guy goes the full extra mile and truly lives his... I think he even moved into the city at some point, just like for the purpose of being closer to the record store.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think I heard that.
So it's like literally like a life for this guy, and he lives it the truest way.
Obsessive in a way, but,
You gotta be a little obsessive to make cool stuff sometimes. Everyone's different.
Yeah, I think so. Without really truly diving into something, you can't.
Yeah, right. So 2002, he has that record.
Yeah.
And then he goes on to the next record that's released in 2006, The Outsider.
Yeah, but so before then, and I think before Preemptive Strike, he did this collaboration with James Lavelle. He was the guy that founded Mo Wax Records.
Oh, okay, got you.
And it was that whole album from Uncle.
Okay, and that's where he collaborated with a bunch of cool artists, like Tom York from Radiohead.
Tom York from Radiohead is on a song there. Rabbit in Your Headlights, fantastic song. They did a crazy music video for it as well. Then
nice.
I don't know if you managed to see that, but it's this kind of famous French actor that's in the music video. But he's like a homeless guy that's like walking through a dark tunnel.
No, I think I missed it. I'll have to go back and check it out.
Like walking through the opposite way through traffic, and then a car. He keeps getting hit by cars as he's walking. It's kind of dark.
Okay.
And then one at the end, like one car hits him, and the car just like completely implodes and smashes, and he's just standing there with his arms out, kind of thing. And this is all this Tom York track.
It sounds like a Tom York kind of movie too.
Yeah, really haunting song. I think so. The way they did that, they recorded it in a day. Tom York came into the studio, laid some piano down and some vocals. And then DJ Shadow went in there and put all the other like bits of trip hop drums in the background.
And they did it all in one day mostly?
Tom York did his bit in a day.
Oh, gotcha. And then
but the whole project, they said they spent 10 years on it.
So not
just
big of a project.
Yeah, not just with Shadow, but like it was something that James Lavelle wanted to do for ages. And
gotcha.
Written a bunch of tracks by the producers, and it wasn't working out. And so he asked Shadow to come in and like do it basically. And I think they kind of sort of fell out in a way about that, because James Lavelle was a really picky kind of perfectionist type of person, and I think he was the kind of Steve Jobs in that relationship where he was like really riding Shadow. And I don't think it wasn't a great sort of environment, because Uncle have gone on and done other albums since then, and Shadow hasn't been involved in the rest of them. But
interesting.
But the first album, Science Fiction, it's called, with a P. I don't know. I'm just going to be fanboy in this episode.
Let's go. Do it.
And I have it here as well.
But yeah, I want to see that. I don't know if I was able to listen to that one.
Yeah. I didn't own this on vinyl for ages, but it's been one of my favorite albums forever. So
it's cool album art.
So I went on eBay and I found it.
Nice. Let me grab that. I like it opens up.
Yeah.
Both sides, kind of. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, and it's an amazing, amazing album. It's got these weird kind of spacey vibes to it. I could even play.
Yeah, can we get a little snippet from here?
A little bit snippet. There's so many good tracks on here. Like I said, Rabbit in Your Headlights with Tom York. There's a really, really epic song called Lonely Soul, which features Richard Ashcroft on it. I don't know if you know him.
No.
He was in a band called The Verve in the UK.
Oh, I know The Verve, yeah.
They had this one really great big hit in the 90s, something Symphony, I don't know.
Bittersweet Symphony.
Bittersweet Symphony.
Nice.
Yeah. And he's on this track called Lonely Soul. It's just like, the lyrics on it, it's just like, whoa. But I won't play that right now.
What do you mean, it's rough?
No, it's just,
it's good.
It's just heavy, it's deep. It's like,
gotcha.
Really.
Oh, like heartfelt.
Yeah.
Emotional.
Yeah, definitely. Raw soul.
Raw.
On that track.
Nice.
And then you got other tracks like this one I'm going to play a little bit of called Bloodstain, which is just, it's like trip hoppy, big beat rock, but with just some weird indie rock vibes in it as well, I think. I don't know. See what you think.
Yeah, let me see. pretty dark.
Pretty dark.
Pretty groovy and jammy, but it's got some kind of...
Yeah, I mean, that whole album is sort
creepy
of
vibes a little bit.
Dark in a way,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So there's an artist called Alice Temple on the vocals as well, which I don't know too much about. I just looked her up and...
oh, that's interesting because it almost reminded me of Alice in Chains.
Oh, really?
The vibe a little bit, that kind of depressing vibe. You know, I don't. It's harsh,
kind of
heavy word.
Slow rock.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
Yeah, just kind of taking its time and being kind of sad.
Yeah,
kind of sad sounding, but you know, great sounding.
Yeah.
These are words that I'm not trying to bring this project down, but it's how it makes me feel a little bit, which is a testament to how good it is.
I think I am drawn to like darker sounding minor chords in general. Like I was always told by people when I was coming up with ideas in the past, like, well, that sounds sad. I'm like, well, I don't know. I kind of like it.
I'm kind of sad.
Kind of sad. Apparently, though, she's not that famous at all. Like, she did a few things in the UK, but apparently she was the first female UK and European BMX champion as well.
That sounds fun.
Strange fact.
Like a fun lady.
For that person that's on that track.
That's cool. Yeah, good for her.
Yeah.
I wonder where she's at these days.
Yeah, exactly. And some weird samples in that track as well. You can tell that he's probably cut and spliced a few things from different places to create those weird, haunting, soundscapey things in there and stuff like that.
Definitely sounds like a rainy day, nighttime kind of music for me, at least.
Yeah.
So off that Uncle album, there was also Mike D from the Beastie Boys.
Yeah. Yeah,
and then,
he was on the track,
There's a guy from Metallica as well. What's his name? Jason Newsted, which I didn't know.
Oh, yeah. He was the bass player before the guy that's in Metallica now.
Oh, the original bass player?
Not there was the original guy who left, might have passed away, I'm not sure. And then Jason Newsted was in Metallica for a long time.
Okay.
And then
you got some Metallica knowledge I didn't know about.
I do. I used to listen to them. Yeah.
Okay. No, I actually haven't listened to them too much.
Yeah.
I've yet to get. They're on my list.
You know, I like them. I like Metallica. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for letting me know that, dude.
There's a great weird documentary as well called Some Kind of Monster about Metallica, which is because they got this image of this crazy big rock band, and then the documentary is all about them going to therapy and trying to be nice to each other and stuff.
Oh, really? So they're even more dynamic. Yeah. I don't know much about them. I have yet to explore them, and I probably should.
Yeah, well, and that documentary was when Jason Newsted left, so he's not in that documentary, and they're on the search for a new bass player, and they find this guy that used to play with Ozzy Osbourne's band, and his signing fee was $1 million. They're like, we want you to be part of the band, and now here's $1 million in cash.
Sounds like a good deal to me. I'll take it. I would take it. I play a little bass.
There you go. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's weird. I know we're digressing on that, but yeah. Some Kind of Monster, because they also auditioned a bunch of different bass players, and you can see all that whole process in that documentary as well, which is kind of crazy. But
where'd you find that documentary?
It was online. You can probably find it. It was on Netflix for a bit, I think.
Okay.
It might have been gone from there now, but I think it's online somewhere.
Okay. I'll do a little hunting.
Yeah.
Do a little research.
Some Kind of Monster.
So after Uncle, then they go to The Outsider in 2006?
Yeah.
That's what you're saying?
That's what Shadow is doing. That's his next album he did Preemptive Strike and then Outsider.
Gotcha.
Outsider, yeah.
But Preemptive Strike doesn't count as a album in his discography. It's like a little bit of a compilation kind of side.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just talking about how you.
I meant to say Private Press was his next full album after the Uncle project. Yeah.
Uncle was between the first and second albums.
Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking it was in between the second and third.
I think so.
No, you're probably right.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Private Press in 2002 and then Outsider in 2006. Mm-hmm. So he takes a few years between his albums, but he's relatively consistent.
Yeah. I guess it still takes him a long time because even though he's sampling stuff, like he has this album called The Mountain Will Fall. Mm-hmm. Which is his album before his most recent one that came out, I think the end of last year or something, or this year.
Yeah, I thought it was this year.
Might have been this year, yeah. So The Mountain Will Fall was before his most recent album, and he was saying that even though he samples like every time he goes to create an album, he said it's like facing a mountain.
Right. I think I remember him talking about that.
Yeah, that you need to like climb over, and I think said he was tweeting about this somehow, and someone responded. It was like, "Oh, that would be a good title for your album."
Yeah,
so
it's a very cool analogy.
Yeah.
I mean, as a music maker yourself, you know, it takes a lot to create a whole fleshed out track.
Yeah,
it's easy to come up with like a little loop that you can loop around for put a couple things on it, and it sounds cool, but like where does the music go?
And I think it's that thing like we talked about in the first episode as well about albums. I think this is going to be something we keep coming back to about albums. But because he was saying that about a project, like a body of work, like many tracks versus just one kind of thing. And it's interesting because I think maybe he's trying to sort of do a cohesive body of work through those tracks,
right?
Because which is probably why it takes so long, because you work on a bit of this track and a bit of that track, and then you're sort of comparing them and seeing where they'll fit in the order in the playlist. And,
everything kind of gets broken down by being referenced to each other. Like, what am I doing on this track? How does that affect this other track that I was going to put on this album? And they kind of influence each other and build them up as you climb the mountain.
Exactly, yeah.
As Shadow says.
Yeah. The way of the shadow.
Is that appropriate to call DJs like by their second, like DJ Shadow? Can you call them Shadow? Is that a normal thing in the industry or in the world?
Yeah, I think so. Because people say Dilla, right? And you know who you're talking about. You don't have to say DJ Dilla.
Yeah.
Say Dilla.
Dilla?
Yeah. Or J Dilla. Actually, I don't think he goes by DJ. It's J Dilla.
Do a lot of DJs still go by DJ, or is that more of an old school thing?
I think it might be an old school thing, yeah.
I just don't even know. I'm just asking.
Well, that was something else that, DJ Shadow was talking about in his interview, Sway in the Morning, I think. He was saying about, because they asked him about DJing in general and stuff like that, and he was like, well, in his day, you had two turntables and you just had your head down and you were trying to keep the music running and together.
Right, you put on the show, you got to do it live.
And the rappers were out there doing the showmanship part of it, because he's like, well, if this track runs out, I've got to do that, or someone could bump the turntable and it will mess things up.
Yeah.
And then, but he said, like, these days you got these guys that just are all digital and
pull up Pro Tools and hit play.
They just hit play and they're just out there like doing crazy shit.
I think everything's okay. You can do whatever you want, and it's all good. There's a difference between an entertainer, or just somebody singing. Like, I'm a singer, I'm a vocalist singing something that somebody else wrote.
Yeah.
And then I'm a singer songwriter. I create art or I do weird stuff. Do whatever you want.
Yeah.
So I try not to.
No, yeah, but just like the approaches, like the style of DJing in the past to now, because even though I don't know if you would think as DJing as like a modern technological thing or not, but
I barely understand computers or anything, so it's all genius to me.
But I mean, because a lot of people in the past have like, well, you're just playing other people's music, you're not playing your own. Even back in the day when I was playing shows in London, and other people around me would get bummed out because the band is getting paid like $200 and the DJ is getting paid $1,000 for a night, kind of thing. But
it is interesting.
But I think, I don't have any grievance with the DJs now. But just the technical, what's involved now versus back then is like completely different in how you do it, and even the naming, like you said. I don't think a lot of DJs now call themselves DJ whatever. They have their own names.
Jazzy J.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Whatever you got.
Jazzy Jeff. Yeah.
Jazzy Jeff. That's what I'm thinking of.
That's the guy.
Good stuff. So then he moves on. 2011. The Less You Know, the Better.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with that album?
Not as much. No.
Yeah, I tried to listen through all the albums, and he consistently tries to do he tries to do different things while being himself. When I was reading through what he was saying, he makes a point to always be like, I just want to be myself, and that's super important to him. He's not trying to copy these other artists. He's like, whether I succeed or if I don't succeed, it is what it is. But I'm just trying to be myself, and I think that's super cool.
Yeah,
super cool place to be coming from to make music.
Yeah, I think he said about like, because some people a lot of his older fans have mixed reactions to his newer stuff. I'm like one of them.
as they all do, and I think one interesting thing that he said was there's one point in time where music can enter your psyche, and I think he was given a little demonstration where there's like a line where that's where you find the music, and that's where the world is like, that's where something's gonna hit. And I think he was saying like Neil Young, like sometimes, or any artist, you'll go up and down, you'll have hits, you'll be out of the spotlight because you're doing different things, you're trying new things, and sometimes it lines up with the public persona or the industry that you're in, and sometimes it doesn't. But as long as you keep trying to do it and trying to be yourself, eventually something's gonna wind up on that thing where everyone's lined up and just like, everyone likes that, that's good.
Yeah. I mean, that's the crazy thing, right? You can't really, as an artist, be hooked on the reaction so much to what you're doing.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it has to come from within you. Yeah. I mean, that's the most interesting thing about music. Like, where does this come from? Why do people do this? Why do people work so hard and gather all of this hardware and stuff it in their basement and plug it all in and make weird sounds? Yeah. What's the point?
It's an interesting thing, right? It's like if anyone else that doesn't do music sees what you're doing or what you have to go through to make music, they'll be like, it's a bit crazy.
Are you? Yeah.
Are you okay?
Literally, if you described it in another way, like this guy's almost like a hoarder of albums. Yeah. DJ Shadow, he's hoarding. He's going out and finding them. Yeah. He's stealing them from your basement, from your mom's basement. He's out in there in the shadows. He's
in the shadows. Yeah.
No, but he's honestly a great, super humble guy. From everything that I've read.
Yeah, he's not trying to be, and there's some other things he said as well. Like he actually did during his career get offered some like big things to do. Like he said, like Apple approached him in the late 90s about being in one of their ads, like iPod ad or something like that, and he was like, "No,
no,
I don't want to do that."
Doesn't want to sell out.
Yeah, he said he didn't want to sell out or appear to be a certain way or something, which is, you know.
Yeah, I think he didn't want to be creating music for adverts. Yeah. He doesn't want his music to be known for that, I suppose.
Yeah. And he said like he's like known for not really letting his music be licensed for ads and stuff like that.
But he eventually did for, was it Coca-Cola?
Yeah, he said he got
one day.
Yeah. He said there's some Coke commercial with Steve Martin in it, and
that sounds like a good commercial.
Yeah. I haven't seen it. I don't know what it was.
I should have looked that up. That would have been actually kind of funny.
Seems like it would be a Super Bowl thing. I don't know.
It seemed like a big commercial. What year? I mean, it was like 2010-ish or something around.
Yeah.
That's kind of a guess, but
yeah. Well, you do hear like some of Shadow's tracks now on. Like I've heard one of his that gets played a lot on like commercials and stuff like that. But so maybe that's changed since then, or his label's in charge of it or something. But it's still only one track. Like, you don't hear a lot of the rest of his tracks used widely on anything, kind of thing.
That's how I prefer it. I prefer to listen to music.
Yeah.
Just even without visuals a lot of the time, not on YouTube, just the audio. Yeah. Not on an advertisement. Yeah. That's what I would prefer, but...
Well, I could see how it could cheapen the music as well, right? If you've got this one track that's heard over and over again.
And it does. Many people are sick of these songs that get overplayed.
Exactly.
It's a weird situation because today artists aren't getting paid very much music from these streaming platforms where everybody expects free music. For me, I just want to turn it on and get it for free. I have access to all of it. Yeah. I pay my $10.99 Spotify.
Your favorite bill to pay.
I said it before, exactly. Favorite bill to pay, and it is awesome. But as an artist, I'm like, I'm not getting any money. Mm-hmm. And when I do the research, these people are getting pennies on the dollar for this stuff. I mean, this guy's traveling around collecting records around the country, bringing it home, checking them out, making cool music. Yeah. And I don't know how much he's getting paid. I'm sure he's doing pretty well at this point with that Coke commercial.
Yeah. Well, he probably got a good sum at that time.
Yeah, and hopefully he's riding off that, and hopefully he's still doing really well. Yeah. In 2016, he did the Mountain Will Fall. Mm-hmm. So there was that, and then I guess we're up until the latest record, which I don't know. This was what I have here is 2019, but I thought even maybe it was 2020.
Yeah. I feel like it's so recent.
But either way, recent within the last year and a half or so.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a big one. It's a double album.
Yeah.
I think the first part of it, the first 11 tracks or so are instrumental, and then the second half 10 or 15 tracks or so has a lot of vocalists.
Yeah.
I think I had those written down because there's a lot of cool prevalent vocalists from today on there, and I don't know where I have that pulled up, so I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. Then so Nas, De La Soul.
There we go.
Ghostface Killer.
There we go.
Raekwon. Who else? Thought I recognized Run the Jewels.
And some of these people he's worked with in the past on his music. Yes?
Yeah. Run the Jewels was on a previous album, I think. Yeah. I mean, like, it's a strange thing because he's been around for so long, you know. You know, the sound of his that I first discovered was that weird sampled vinyl sound, and his latest sound is I would say it's more modern sounding. I think that's partly, you know, obviously because he's evolving and changing as an artist.
Totally.
And also I feel like it's a change in the technology that he's using to create the music, you know. Because when he started out, you know, it was the MPC Akai machine, which is like this big old box that, you know, takes floppy disks and stuff like that, you know.
What's a floppy disk?
Exactly. Yeah, no one knows. And, you know, now I think, you know, he can use Ableton and all this other stuff. You know, you're not so limited with what you can do.
And hopefully he feels more free, I'm sure.
Yeah. But it does change the sound, I think, as well, and makes it a little bit more polished sounding and, you know.
I think one interview, I think it was a German interview, and he was asking him at the end, he was like, can you do a 4-track one? Would that sound cool today? If you kind of did it the same way, even if you did it in Pro Tools or Ableton, whatever, and still kind of arrange it and keep yourself limited in that way, would that sound cool? Would that sound modern? Would it sound old school? I don't remember what he said, but it's an interesting question at least to think about.
It is. You do see people utilizing those old machines in new recordings now.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I'm going to forget names now. This is embarrassing.
I can't help you.
But no one else knows.
I don't know.
It's only in my head right now. Someone you know, but I'll figure that out later.
Let me know.
Yeah, he's a hip hop producer here in Seattle, but he got like a tape machine and is using that to create certain textures and sounds and stuff like that. Like, you know, I think people still use it to record weird instruments and then reprocess it and like that kind of thing.
Yeah, kind of a you know, analog processing of modern music making.
But do you know this band, the Presidents of the United States of America?
Yeah, they
did Peaches. All that.
Millions of peaches.
Yeah, so that album, the album that track's on, they recorded the entire album on a 4-track, 8-track tape machine.
When did that album come out? That was, I mean, in the 90s?
Late 90s, I think. 90s? Yeah, something like that. 97 or something, I'm not sure. But
and at that point, people were already using Pro Tools and computers and stuff, right?
That was like the start, I think, of computer stuff. Yeah, I mean, I had Logic at 99.
Really?
Before Apple bought it, it was called eMagic Logic.
And you had eMagic Logic?
From this German company called eMagic, yeah.
That's insane.
And it worked. You know, it was amazing. I was just like, well, shit. Yeah.
Was it easy to figure out how to use?
Luckily, I had this other guy set it up, and I was producing music with him, and he like knew it inside and out. So I just sat there and watched how he did it, and then.
So it's kind of same thing as DJ Shadow when he was, you know, he had his little equipment, and he would go to his buddy's house or somebody who had Pro Tools. To engineer and record it at his place.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. That's another whole topic about, you know, it's something that parallels DJ Shadow's career because I think what he's doing is modern. It was modern at the time when he first started doing it.
Right.
Sampling in general, and how even the technology has changed that it's even impacted how you create it that way, you know.
Right.
Because, you know, when he started, I don't think you could just take your guitar loop and change its key and change its timing. Like, that was a lot of work. You have to like cut it into a million different bits to do
I can't imagine.
Like, now you just click a button and it's like
a couple of snip, new song.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So
So I mean I recommend everybody listen to that latest album because this guy's still trying to do things in modern ways. He's still trying to do things in new ways, and that's kind of, I don't know, what he's made his career based on.
Yeah.
You know, being himself, being weird, trying new things.
Yeah.
Trying cool things.
Yeah.
Paying homage to the people that he loves that inspired him.
Yeah.
Sounds like a super humble guy.
Yeah, for sure.
Super down to earth, super chill.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I recommend everybody give him a listen, especially that first album, Introducing.
Yeah, it's classic.
Yeah, I'm probably going to listen to that on my way home tonight.
Nice. Well, do we want to play out with any song in particular? Or?
Yeah, give me something good. Surprise me.
Surprise you. Okay.
Thanks to everybody for listening in. Rooster Grooves, number 2.
Yeah.
I think we're going to record another one maybe tonight.
We're going to do it, yeah. And thanks for indulging me, Jesse, on my fanboy.
This guy's good. I'm really glad you brought this up to my attention because I think also, I think you showed me this album at your house one day.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know who that is. Never heard of it.
Yeah.
But it turns out to be great.
Yeah. I try and tell everyone about it because it's just, to me, it's just a very layered, complex composition. Every track is not simple in any way. And knowing the story about how they created it as well is just even more crazy.
Yeah, I love that. Hearing the stories about how it's created makes it that much more immersive when you're in that world.
So here's this track. Then I'm gonna play Rosie from his latest album, and I like it because it does like a switch in between, and it just completely changes.
I like that. Switch it out.
All right, cool. Catch you next episode.
Thanks everybody.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
I seen little Rosie in my midnight dreams. I seen little Rosie in my midnight dreams. I seen little Rosie in my midnight dreams. Oh Lord, my midnight dreams. Oh Lord, my midnight dreams. Oh Rosie, hey, hey, oh Rosie, oh Lord, gal. Oh Rosie, hey, hey, oh Rosie, oh Lord, gal. I seen little Rosie in my midnight dreams. I seen little Rosie in my midnight dreams. I seen little Rosie in my midnight dreams. Oh Lord, my midnight dreams. Oh Lord, my midnight dreams. Oh Rosie, hey, hey, oh Rosie, oh Lord, gal. Oh Rosie, hey, hey, oh Rosie, oh Lord, gal.
Roots to Grooves is a production of Signal Radio. For more music and independent culture, visit signalradio.com.